Good evening, folks. Thank you for getting on the stream tonight. I am your host, Charles Chandler of Let's Talk About It Now. You see the stream tonight, folks. What we're going to be discussing tonight, which I believe is a very important subject. The title, Your Previous Relationships Have Affected All of Your Current ones. To my moderators, if you can hear me well, if my sound is well, put a 1 in the chat box. If my sound is well, if the music is at the right volume, put a 1 in the chat box. Thank you. Have affected all of your current ones. To my moderators, if you can hear me well, if my sound is well, put a 1 in the chat box. Hold on 1 second, like we're having some kind of if my sound is well, the music is at the right volume, kind of put a 1 in the chat box. Technical issues. Just hold on 1 second, folks. Hold on 1 second. All right. If you can hear me well, thank you. Thank you, Gail. Thank you very much. Shout out to Gail. Thank you for getting on the stream tonight. For those of you that don't know who Gail Reed is, if you ever see her in my stream, that's my wife. Had to put that out there right from the jump. You know, because I've been told a whole lot of things. I can't believe you married, or I feel sorry for your wife, and all kinds of real silly stuff, you know. For the record, I've been married for 30 years. What I want to do is talk to the modern woman who may be listening to this stream. Shout out to Abdul. Thanks for getting on the stream tonight. I want to talk to the modern woman. And mind you, these talking points are not with vitriol. They're certainly not with an intent to disrespect or even to make you ladies feel bad. I promise you that. My intent, since I started my stream, has always been for one purpose and one purpose only. It's because I want to see communities. I want to see communities. I want to see us together. We need you, ladies, black women in particular. We need you as much as you need us. The problem is that you don't believe you need us. But black men certainly are in need of you. We want you. We're attracted to you. And when the rubber meets the road, you and I, black men, black women in particular, we're all we have. Irregardless of what you've heard, irregardless of what you've been made to believe, where the narrative has been spoken in the community. I don't need no man. Yeah, you do. Oh, yes, you do. I know you don't believe you do. And the tragic deception that the modern woman has been made to believe is that she has time. You know, it's a funny thing about time. Time is what everybody believes they have until they run out of it. You know, there's an old saying where people used to say, if you lose someone, you would say, you know, you don't miss your water till your well runs dry, or you don't know how important a person was until they're gone. And you know the sayings, because I'm certain many of you have heard these sayings, and you probably have quoted and repeated the same thing that I just said, but you never applied it to yourself. Ladies, you never applied it to yourself as it relates to relationships and or marriage. Marriage is where we keep score. Not dating. You've heard me say in previous streams in the past, I'm a firm believer that dating is stupid. There's nothing smart about dating. Not today. Not in this modern mindset, and not in this modern culture. Dating simply means one thing. It means sex. That's all it means. It doesn't mean courtship. No. It doesn't mean a man is vetting you for marriage. No. And it doesn't mean you're vetting him for a husband. No. In many cases, to my sad regret, sex is had on the first date. And that, you know that's sad. It's had at the club. It's had at the lounge. It's had on the cruise. You know, the cruise you ladies like to take with your girlfriends. You know, those cruises. The girls' trips. A lot of times, a whole lot of sex is taking place on those cruise ships. And to my sad regret again, many of you have men back at home when you go on these cruises and you do this. You know, here's the thing with the talking points that you hear men having all over social media. Not just myself, because I'm not special. I just represent the same thing. I represent a man who understands the relationship pandemic, and I'm a man who understands the relationship problem that's going on in our communities, no matter where we live in all 52 states. It doesn't matter where we live, and we can extend the borders of the United States and the problem would still remain the same. The mindset is pervasive. It's not exclusive to the USA. No, not at all. And shout out to the passport brothers who have become so disappointed, so disgruntled, and so hopeless in their pursuit of trying to find or attempting to find a woman who is marriage-minded or who is even wife material, to the point that they go to the extreme. I'm gonna get a passport. That's what I'm gonna do. This is what they say. I'm gonna get a passport, and I'm gonna leave the USA, and I'm gonna go to some foreign country, and I'm gonna find me a woman who understands how to cooperate with a man, how to submit to a man. I know you ladies get acid reflux with that word. I understand. That's because you've never been properly taught the healthy way of what that word means. Submit does not mean submit as if you were a slave. No, that's not what it means. Submit does not mean you are subordinate to your husband to the extent that you have no mind of your own, that you have no opinion of your own, that you have no voice of your own. Nah, that's not what it means. Not at all. Submit simply means that you trust your husband enough to know that he has your best interest at heart and that he's not going to advise you or instruct you to do anything that's going to hurt you, bring harm to you, or bring harm to himself or his family, his nuclear family, which would be you and himself and the children that you produced for him if you have children. That's all submit means. If I had to use one word to describe submit, which many of you ladies, again, have acid reflux to the word, it means cooperative or cooperate. That's all it means. That's all a man wants. He wants you to be cooperative. He wants you to be able to cooperate with him and to get on his program. I know you heard that term before, get on his program. What exactly does that mean? Well, okay. Well, if he doesn't have a program, to my sad regret again, is where most of the children are born from. They're born from men who did not have a program. Those are the Pookies and the Nug Nugs and the Ray Rays and the Killer Mikes and the ones that give you sexual bliss. And in return, you get emotional turmoil. And you can't remove yourself from the emotional turmoil because you're so engrossed with the sexual bliss until finally you feel bad about yourself. You feel dirty about your decision. You've been enjoying so much sexual bliss that now reality starts to kick in. What starts to kick in is that, you know what? This guy's not interested in me at all. Not in a real way. He's interested in me only on the physical level. Now, here's where the problem comes in at. Here's where the problem comes. The problem comes in at is, ladies, that after you find yourself experiencing the bad outcomes based on the decision that you made, you won't take any accountability for it. You're never wrong. That's a problem. That is a problem. And while today in 2024 now, we've been having these conversations for at least the last 5 years, I would say men have been speaking about what they want. And for the last 50 years prior to these conversations and talking points, women have had the leverage of telling men what they dislike about us. Songs have been made. Movies have been made. Color Purple. You know, Mr. The worst character in the movie. You know, Mr. It's ironic to me, and I find it very interesting, that they decided to resurrect The Color Purple again in the form of a Broadway play. Find that very interesting. Why now? In the current climate that we're experiencing right now, where black men and black women and their relationships as it relates to marriage and as it relates to a nuclear family where there's a man, a woman, and children together, I find it very interesting that they would find it necessary to resurrect an old movie that came out years ago, more than 20 years ago, which was played by the character Mr. was played by a well-known actor by the name of, I forget his name. Somebody put that in the chat room. What was his name? The gentleman who played Mr. in the original movie of Color Purple. Anyway, his name was Mr. That movie, to me, I believe, in my personal opinion, was the catalyst for the conversation that became derogatory and negative as it related to how to describe black men. Horrible, horrible movie, in my personal opinion. Horrible movie. It did nothing for us. I just find it very interesting that they would resurrect that movie. Danny Glover, thank you. Thank you, Gail. Thank you, Abdul. Danny Glover. He made some comments in interviews about that movie. And I promise you, if you heard some of those interviews, you would understand a lot differently about that movie. But I just find it very interesting that they would resurrect that movie from the dead. You know, and make that now a Broadway play. And more to my sad regret, black people went and supported it. Because we still are asleep. We're still not awake to the machinations, to the maneuvers, to the design that is still meant to keep us separated. For the record, let's talk about it. Although my talking points may appear and seem to be red pill, I'm not red pill. No, not at all. I don't subscribe to red pill. Not at all. What I do subscribe to is family. I subscribe to community. That's what I subscribe to. And that's what my intent and my goal is to do as long as I have a platform, is to try my gut-wrenching best to get a message across to our women in particular, black women in particular, and to get a message across to our brothers, men, black men in particular, about the devastating behavior and devastating things that we do to one another and that we buy into, which as a result leads to our demise as a community. There is no success of any nationality where there is no community. Commune means to come together. In the word community, you have commune, which means coming together. And then you have the word unity, which also means coming together. And if we don't get to a point where we understand that, ladies, black women in particular, get to a place where you refuse to allow yourself to be emotionally triggered and to understand that you yourself, regardless of how beautiful you may look today, regardless of how attractive you may be today, how shapely you may be today. And I promise you, there is no woman on the planet more attractive than a black woman. I promise you that. Some may say that's your opinion, Charles. Well, yeah, it's my opinion then. Because I don't believe there's any woman on this planet that's more attractive than a black woman. Everybody patterns themselves after you, sister. Everybody patterns themselves after you. Sadly enough, though, you don't think the same about yourself. And that's why you pattern yourself after everyone else. Something to think about. The subject tonight, let's talk about it now. And again, I thank you for getting into the building. Shout out to Margaret, my mom. My mom is on the stream tonight, folks. You know, shout out to my mother. My mother is on the stream tonight. Shout out to my wife who's on the stream. Shout out to my son who's on the stream. And I want to salute to all of you who became my new subscribers. I appreciate you. I really do. If you want to support my channel, I don't ask for anything, but if you want to support my channel, you can support me via Cash App, $, capital C, capital G, 4033. With that being said, let's get right into it, man. Again, I appreciate y'all. Let's go. Let's go. I trust that everyone has had a fantastic afternoon. Trust that everyone has had a fantastic afternoon. I mean, January went by real fast, right? January flew by, man. We're already into February. You know, that goes to show you, ladies, that time waits for no one. It really doesn't. It waits for me. It doesn't wait for me. It doesn't wait for you. It doesn't wait for any of us. We have but a little bit of time to figure out everything. Because our life is fleeting. It's like the breeze on a hot summer day. You know? It's like the seasons as they pass by in just a few months. You know? You see the leaves, they're green one month, and then it seems just a few months later they're brown. And then a few weeks later they're falling off the tree. And every summer, you think it's the same leaf, and it's not. Those are new leaves. What happened to the old ones? The old ones are dead. They're gone, and they've been replaced. Likewise, all of us will be replaced, because we all, too, have to leave. We're all visiting, and while we're here visiting, we need to understand what's important, especially as it relates to relationships and or marriage. Because I will tell you, as we age out, and we all are aging out, every single day that you live, you're one day closer to death. I don't know if you understand that. Every single day, you and I, and all of us who are alive, we're one day closer to death. That's all. What did you do with the days you were here? And if relationships and or marriage is not important to you, how do you intend to get to the end of life? I know some of you may say, thank you. I know some of you may say, thank you, Gail. I know some of you may say, give me a ones up if that's good. I know some of you may say, well, I'm not really worrying about that because I make a lot of money. I make 6 figures. Or I make 6+ figures. Or I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, or I'm a PhD. Shout out to Kevin Samuels. Some of you may say that. But is that your only security blanket? Is your only security blanket based on what you've accomplished? Thank you. Is your accomplishments your only security blanket that you're holding on to? If that's true, then you're not holding on to anything secure. Because even your accomplishments is controlled by an outside source that you can't control. What do you do in the middle of the night, ladies, when you hear that loud noise in the middle of the night? What do? You look for someone to protect you. I don't think there's a woman alive that runs down the stairs unafraid to investigate the noise that she heard downstairs. I doubt it. See, what most single women do when they hear the noise downstairs, they get the phone, if they have their cell phone near them, and they hide under the bed or in the closet, and they remain as quiet as possible. And they dial 911. 911 will get you a man. What man will it get you? It'll get you a whole front yard full of male officers. And I know some of you are going to say, well, there's female officers. Yeah, but they're never unaccompanied by an army of male officers. Remember that. That can't be disputed. I said all that to lay a foundation for what I'm going to discuss tonight. This won't be a long string, but I want to touch on some real major points for us to understand. Because I will tell you, it's getting real bad out here. And some of you that watch this stream, you know I'm telling you the truth. It's getting bad out here. You don't have a cousin that is female. You don't have a relative that is female. You don't have a coworker that is female. You don't have a friend that is female that you can count on both of your hands that is in a functional, healthy, solid relationship, much less marriage. And you know I'm telling you the truth. And many of you that are watching me, you are not in a functional relationship. You are not in a solid relationship, nor a marriage. And others of you, no one's checking for you. You are a serial dater. And I mean a serial dater. All you do is date. You just date and date and date and date and date. And you give up your best gift while you're on these dates. What's your best gift, Charles? Your best gift is your body. And that's what you gave up multiple times on many dates. What I want to share with you tonight, if you would listen and not allow yourself to get triggered, is that all of your previous relationships has affected your current ones. There is no current relationship that you had or that you have right now that is not affected by your previous relationships. I want to explain to you how. I want to let you see clearly exactly how your behavior and your attitude and how you interact with the men that you date, which simply means sex. That's all it means. Because on none of your dates are you having conversations about marriage. No, not even one. Not even one. All of your dates lead to sex. All of them. And the more they lead to sex, the more upset, the more frustrated, the more angry, the more disappointed, and the more hopeless you feel about future relationships. And it shapes your brain as to what serious mindset you should have as it relates to relationships based on those decisions. And you know I'm right. You may not like to hear it, but you know I'm right. I want to be the father you never had tonight on this stream. Because many of us have never been told anything. We've never been sat down on nobody's knee to be explained about what we should expect as it relates to relationships and or marriage. And many of us have never seen marriage in our family members. We definitely never seen long-term marriages in our family members. No, we never saw that. And if we saw marriage, it was always dysfunctional. There was always some violence, some vitriol and anger and disrespect involved in those marriages that we did see. So when we finally get out on the road of life and try to pursue our own aspirations, our own dreams, our own visions, and things that we want to do with our own life, and then we find ourselves face to face with the opposite sex, we don't know what to do. Men don't know what to do. And ladies, currently today, up-to-date versions of our women, it's clear and it's obvious in television, in social media, that you don't know what to do either. And yet you fight. Imagine that. And yet you fight. You fight the obvious. What is the obvious? The obvious is that you're losing. You are losing. Well, there's no good men out here, Charles. Okay. I'll give you that. Like I said, we got a lot of problems. But what are you doing in terms of how you behave based on your previous relationships that are now affecting your current ones? What are you doing to give a man anything to come up to? What should he be changing himself up to do what? To greet who? To be introduced to what? Who are you today, modern woman? Black women in particular. Who are you that he should come up to? What are you that he should come up to? I know, for 50 years, black men have had to hear what they have done wrong. 50 plus years, I should say. And no one gave pushback about what men were doing wrong and what black men in particular were doing wrong as it related to black women. No one said anything. There was no pushback. There was no cancellation. There was no censorship. Nothing. Music was made. Again, like I said previously, movies were made. Everybody had something to say about what black men were doing wrong. But here's where the problem lied. Black women have been insulated and protected from taking any accountability for what they did wrong or what they chose to do that brought about bad outcomes. I want you to think, ladies. Think. Only a few of you will be intelligent enough, mature enough to hear what I'm saying and say, damn, the brother is right. But most of you, unfortunately, will hear this stream and say, I'm so sick of hearing these men talk about what we're doing. Therefore, thrusting yourself deeper into a rabbit hole that you will not be able to get out as you age out. As you age out, in your refusal to hear talking points like this, you will die by yourself. I know that sounds crude, and I know that sounds rude, and I know it sounds mean, but you know that's the reality. You will listen, or you will die alone. That's the reality. That's the reality. See, what the society loves to do to women in general, black women in particular, is lie to you. Tell you lies. Just lie to me. Just tell me lies. I can handle lies because lies seem to go down better, you know? I can poison you with arsenic as long as I put sugar in it. And you'll think it tastes good until you find out you're about to die. Ain't that something? So just lie to me. Just lie to me. Don't tell me the truth. Just lie to me. Because if you lie to me, I can take the lie better than I can take the truth. Because the truth is going to force you to do something about it. See, if I never tell you nothing, or if you never hear the truth, then you can claim plausible deniability. Plausible deniability means you never heard it, so you never have to take accountability for hearing it. But one thing I've said in previous streams in the past, you can't unknow what you know. Once you hear it, now you have a responsibility to do something about it. Not just you, but myself and every black man in this country that hears the truth. And every black woman in this country that hears the truth. And every woman in general that hears the truth. Because I promise you this, everything you hear in the talking points, it infects and it's infested every neighborhood, every culture. But I don't represent every culture. I represent my culture. What's your culture, man? I represent black people. I'm a black man. I love black women. And I love black men. I love our community. Let me ask you a question, ladies. Black women in particular. Are you ours? That's a question for you to answer. Are you ours? Or do you belong to everybody? Or do you belong to someone else? Are you ours? Because every ethnic group on this planet behaves as if they belong to the men who represent and share their reflection according to their culture. Do the Japanese woman behave as if she belongs to the Japanese man? You answer that, yes or no. Does the Chinese woman behave as if she represents her man who is Chinese and shares her reflection? You answer that. Does every ethnic group behave in a manner that shows that she represents not only her culture, but she belongs to the men who share her reflection and who represent her culture? Now I want you to go back to yourself, my sister. Do you behave as if you represent your black man who shares your reflection? Oh, your previous relationships has affected and is affecting all of your current ones. But who are you mad at? That's my question for you. Who are you mad at, sister? Who are you really angry at? Are you angry at the men who share your reflection, or are you angry at the decisions that you made with the men who shared your reflection? And because you were never taught how to choose, you chose according to your feelings. And that's why many of you love to start your conversations off with I feel. Well, I'm going to tell you something about feelings. Feelings are like a roller coaster. Sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down, but they're just a feeling. That's all they are. You can't trust a feeling. Feelings will deceive you. Feelings are traitors. they're not real. Because depending on the climate and depending on the circumstance, your feelings will go up and they will go down. How can you trust your feelings, ladies? And why does every decision you make, you start it off with, I feel? Not I think, but I feel. If I blindfold myself, and if you blindfolded yourself, you could walk into a dark room and you could have your arms out because you can't physically see, right? And you could feel fur in the dark. And you could literally die of a heart attack because you felt like it was a bear or something that was big and furry that put you in physical danger. Follow me. Only to find that if the light was turned on, it was a fur coat. But now you died of a heart attack based on your feelings. Understand what I'm saying to you. That's how insecure feelings are. You can't trust a feeling, but you can trust a thought. You can trust thinking, logical thinking. You can trust that. And why is that important? And why is that important to you as a woman, a black woman in particular, as it relates to relationships? Why is it important? Women are emotional. Why is it important to have a man? It's because men are non-emotional. Men think from a logical standpoint. Do we do everything right? No, not at all. But I promise you, when the rubber meets the road, you will see logic and reason come out of that decision. Especially when it comes to protecting you. If he loves you, I promise you, he's not going to react out of emotion. I promise you that. Because men are not wired that way. Men are wired to make decisions based in logic and reason, not emotion. Not emotion. So how would you survive with the concept, with the modern day concept of I don't need no man? And you now finding more confidence in your accomplishments, in your education, in your job, in your home, in your car, in your designer bags, in your designer clothes, and your designer shoes, and hey, the list goes on. How is it that you find more confidence in that finite thing? Yet you have no confidence in the men that share your reflection. And you wonder why your previous relationships is a direct reflection of your current relationships and outcomes. If we could ever get to a place in these talking points to where women in general, black women in particular, would not just listen to respond, but listen to understand. There is a difference between the two, ladies. There's a listening to respond, meaning you're not listening at all. You're listening with emotion. Your emotions are already triggered while you're listening, but you're listening because you're listening in emotion. You're listening now to simply respond. Your response and your aim when you listen like that is simply to prove the person that's talking to you wrong. It's usually accompanied with a few different acronyms. SIGN. Shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right. Again, shout out to the late, great Kevin Samuels. That's usually how you're listening. That's usually how you're listening. But how many of you ladies are listening to understand what's being said? And for you ladies who consider yourselves Christians, you're in church, right? You know that verse that says, lean not onto your own understanding, but in all your get understanding. but lean not into your own understanding. Yeah. You know, it's funny how many ladies today, in general, black women in particular, you lean to your own understanding. You don't listen to understand. You listen to respond. And in your response comes argument. And at the end of the conversation, you learned nothing. Ever learning, ever learning, but never coming into the knowledge. How do we expect to change the dynamics and the pandemic of what this feminist movement is doing and has done to separate us as a people and as a couple? We are better together than we are apart. We are better together than we are apart. We just are. We were together at an 85% rate post-slavery. Post-slavery. Imagine that. Imagine that. That we were together more after slavery, and we had nothing, than we are today with this proposed or supposed having everything. You know, now we're separated like you wouldn't believe, in disproportionate numbers. Man, we're married at a rate of 26%. That's incredible, to say the very least. 26% and dropping like a rock. Now, for some of you, that may not be important to you, depending on your sexual orientation. Do what you want to do. Do what you want to do, man. I'll tell you this much. Population control is real, and it's in effect. There is more money to be made by keeping us separated as a people. Now I'm talking directly to my own. This is not black women, this is not women in general and black women in particular. No, I'm talking directly to black women in particular. There is a financial gain to be made, and I mean it's big. It's in the billions, trillions of dollars, to keep you and I separated, to keep you and I fragmented as a family, to keep our communities torn apart, where we are not coming together, and you no longer can see in any black community, I don't give a damn what state you go to, you can't see a nuclear family walking down the sidewalk. And you tell me if I'm correct or am I wrong. You don't see no nuclear family walking down the street holding hands in no black community. I don't care what state you go to. You don't see a nuclear family. What is a nuclear family, Charles? That's a man, a woman, and children. Married. That's what I'm talking about. Not bump and grind, not pump and dump. No, I'm not talking about those type of Negroes. See, because God made black men. God made black women. White folks made niggas. White folks made Negroes. Which one are you, sister? Which one are you, brother? Because right now, our community is destroyed. Tell me what a nuclear family is. Show me. Many of you don't know it because you've never seen it in your own personal family. And you think we don't have a problem? Oh, sister, your previous relationships have and is affecting your current ones right now. Right now. Excuse my passion, but let me tell you something, man. If we don't take this serious, what will our community look like 30 years from now? What will it look like 40 years from now? Oh, let's go, man. What will it look like a half a century from now? I, more than likely, will not be alive to see what it looks like. I'm 55 years of age. Soon, by the grace of God, will be 56 this year. What will it look like in 50 years from now? What will it look like? For you young sisters that watch this stream, if you're in your 20s, stop listening to single women who have previous relationships and are now experiencing the outcomes, negative or positive, from their past relationships, and it's affecting their now current ones. Stop listening to them. Sisters, if you're in your 30s, stop listening to women that have bad outcomes from previous relationships and now it's affecting their current ones. Stop taking advice from them. If I don't live to get to see you in 50 years from now, I want you to listen to what I'm telling you. Listen to what I'm telling you. Stop listening to your single aunts and your single nieces and your single sisters and your single cousins and your single old nosy next door neighbor. Stop listening to them. Your across the street neighbor. Stop listening to your single co-workers that you work with that's all up in your ear telling you stuff about relationships when they don't have a relationship themselves because they're suffering from their previous relationships, which are now affecting their current ones, which are not necessarily good outcomes. So they're sharing that bad outcome with you. Man. For any young sister that hear this stream, if you have a desire to be married, if you have a desire to have a husband, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. If you're 20 years old, if you're between the ages of 18 and 25 and you listen to this stream, and I know most individuals that watch my stream are not that young, but for those of you that have children that are in that age range and you have daughters, let them listen to the stream. Let them listen to this stream. If you care about them, let them listen to this stream. Or lose your daughter. Lose your niece. Lose your cousin who's a female. Lose your friend who you said you care about. And I'll even go further. Lose your son. Let him listen to the stream also. Let him listen to it also. Because we've both been bamboozled. Black men been bamboozled. We've been hit in the head with a rock. And so have black women. We're acting out a behavior that did not belong to us. And this is why our community is fragmented, torn apart. Completely. Where you don't even see an end to it. You don't even see an end to where it's going to stop. All you can see is that it's going to get worse. While many of you ladies continue to fight, continue to argue, continue to disagree, continue to want to be right as opposed to finding a way to understand what's being said. It's really sad. It's really tragic. It's really sad. You know what's really sad, ladies? Many of you will never marry in your whole lifetime. It's never going to happen for you. Some of you will never ever marry. You can't even hope to marry. It's never going to happen. You know why? Because you're going to ignore what I'm saying right now. And you're going to ignore other content creators that have the same kind of talking point because you think it's an attack against you. Because you don't want to take accountability for anything, but you want black men to take accountability for everything that they do wrong. Well, sorry, you're late. You're late because we've been taking accountability for over 50 years. We've been hearing what we do wrong for over 50 years. You just started hearing it and you're upset and won't listen. So what's your solution? What's your solution? Well, I'm sick of you guys always talking about what's wrong, what you're not bringing out any solutions. Well, I would tell you the solution is only one word. You know, it's really one word. You want it to be this long thesis, this long syllabus of an explanation that describes a solution. No, it doesn't require that much. You know what it really requires? Something that's so difficult to do, especially among our women. And you know what that is? Listen. Listen to understand. That's it. See how simple that was? I can say more in telling you the problem than what the solution is. The solution is to listen to understand. And then take personal accountability. That's all. From both sides. Both sides. We need each other. Black men, we want you. Facts. Oh yeah, facts. Like I said, there is no bad or black woman there is no more beautiful woman on the planet outside of ours. Now there's some beautiful women in every culture, but that's not my personal problem. That's not my personal issue. It's certainly not my personal desire. Black women are more beautiful, in my personal opinion, than any woman on the planet. God knew just how to cut your curves, man. He knew just how to shape you. You know, he knew just how to make your bone structure, your cheekbones, your nose, your lips. He knew how to put that thing together. Can't nobody touch a black woman. Nobody. And that's not to exclude any other woman. But I'm talking about mine. I'm talking about our women. Our women are the baddest women on the planet. In more ways than one. We're the baddest in terms of how you look. You're the baddest in terms of how you capture a room when you walk into a room. And you're also the baddest in your behavior. You're the baddest in how you respect your own men that share your reflection. You're the baddest in how you disrespect yourself and yet still demand respect. You see? I kept it fair and I kept it equal on both sides. We don't want nobody but you. But there's a lot of things that have to be fixed because all of your previous relationships are a direct reflection of your current ones right now. All your outcomes that you are not unhappy with reflect every previous relationship you've ever had. So we had to talk about it. We had to talk about it. And I thank you all for getting on the stream tonight. Go back and listen to it. Get your nieces. Get your sons. Get your female cousins. Get your female co-workers. And revisit the stream. And my hopes is that you'll hear something. I don't care if it's 5 minutes of what I said, 10 minutes of what I said, or all of what I said. If it helps you make a decision, then I've done my job. Then I've done my job. And with that being said, I thank you all for getting on the stream tonight. I am your host, Charles Chambers of Let's Talk About It Now. Shout out again to Gail Reed for getting on the stream tonight. Shout out to Abdul. Shout out to my mom, my wife, my son. And shout out to all of you that end up on the stream after this is no longer streamed live. And with that, I thank you. Thank you for your support. Again, you can support the channel at $, capital C, capital G, 4033. That being said, we are out.